It's now to review and to add real insight into just how damaging this economic plan would be to the American economy. God forbid that Harrison Walls get elected. He's the co-founder of Schiff Sovereign and a global strategist, along with being a chief and heck of an economist. Peter Schiff back on the program. Peter, how about it? I know you've looked it over. All I know is free handouts once again for first-time home buyers. Where's mine? 1.7 trillion. Where the hell are we going to get it when we're already 34, 35? I don't even know how many trillion we're in debt. And who came up with this? Because we know she didn't. Go ahead, Peter. It's all yours.
You did such a good job, Dan, ripping it apart. There's really not much left for me to say. But, this was tried in Venezuela. It was tried in Cuba. It was tried in the Soviet Union. It didn't work there. This is what happens when you get raised by a communist father. The Soviet Union and other communist nations are famous for their bread lines.
Yep.
And, this is what Kamala is going to create. She's actually targeting grocery stores. That's where she wants to start. She thinks the grocery stores are gouging the customers. I mean, they have the smallest margins out there. They barely make any money. They do it on volume. But she wants to, control what they can charge. Pretty soon, Americans are going to be standing in a long line for bread, and it'll probably be stale. And there are going to be a lot of things that you're not even be able to get. I mean, if you think stuff is expensive now, wait till you have to buy it on the black market because it becomes illegal.
Yeesh. Peter, let me ask you something. I don't know that you're that much older than me, so you and I don't remember exactly how it went down in the 70s under Carter. I was a little kid, but I do remember some of it. I remember the gas lines and the food shortages on the shelves, and my grandmother and my parents complaining and freaking out, right?
Go ahead. That was some price control.
That's what I wanted to compare. Yep.
In a free market, you don't have long lines. You just let the price adjust to whatever the market happens to be. But when you believe that the government needs to control prices, you're rejecting the most important aspect of a free market economy. That's supply and demand. In a free market, supply and demand determines the price. In a socialist economy or communist economy, you have the government trying to set the price. And that's what Kamala wants to do because she doesn't believe in capitalism.
No kidding. Well, here's what I don't get. You've been in there, dearie.
Centrally plan the economy and pick prices.
She's been in there for almost 4 years with Joe. I don't have to play the sound bites again with you. People know she's come out over the last 3 years and bragged up Bidenomics and said they're working. Her words, not mine. Bidenomics is working. This is what you get when Bidenomics works. We've seen her say it. So you didn't do jack squat for 3.5 years, but ruin our economy. Now we believe your plan's gonna work. I think J.D. Vance, in an interview this weekend, put it best when talking about her plan. Watch this and we'll get your take on the backside.
Because the American people just don't buy the idea that Kamala Harris, who has been vice president for 3.5 years, is somehow going to tackle the inflation crisis in a way tomorrow that she hasn't for the past 1,300 days. Giving Kamala Harris control over inflation policy, Shannon, it's like giving Jeffrey Epstein control over human trafficking policy. The American people are much smarter than that. They don't buy the idea that Kamala Harris represents a fresh start. She is more of the same. It is doubling down on the failed policies of the Harris administration to give Kamala Harris a promotion rather than to fire her, which is what I think most Americans are going to do on November.
Peter?
Well, first of all, I don't even think Biden's been the president for the past 3 years. I think he's just a puppet.
Good point.
And I think the people who are pulling the strings are going to be doing the same thing with Kamala. In fact, I believe that they had a plan from the beginning to install Kamala as the nominee. I think what they did is they all lied for months and months about how Biden was sharp as a tack so they can feign that they were surprised because they set that debate unprecedentedly early.
Yep.
So that they were able to push Biden out, but supplant him with Kamala Harris without any real primary. Because if Biden had actually stepped down earlier, before the primaries began, there is no way Kamala Harris would have won that nomination.
Great
fairly.
point. Yeah.
The only way they can install her was to pull off this switch that they did. So nothing is going to change, I think, if Kamala becomes president. It's just going to get much worse. And all of her plans amount to one thing: create more inflation. That's all she wants to do. Is the government's going to spend more money that it doesn't have by running bigger deficits, which the Fed is going to monetize. So if you think prices are high now, wait till you see how much higher they're going to be if Kamala is elected and these horrible policies are continued for another 4 years.
Well, in addition to spending, we know that she's big government. So, I mean, she's going to be adding jobs to the federal government and making it grow, which again spends more money. The more government you create, the more we're going to be down. Peter, I want to show you real quick a new poll, and this is by mainstream media, not me. This is by CBS News. It just dropped over the weekend. Choice for president when it comes to major factors: the economy, Trump, 56. Miss Harris, 43. Inflation, they trust Trump, 61. Her, 38. And the border, 76%. Harris, 24. Why is it that we see those polls that say he's way ahead on the issues, but then the mainstream media will say, but she's up 2 points overall national?
Like, I don't even see how that's possible.
Come on, man.
Questions that they're asking are who they're polling, what their sample is. But you know what's funny? You know, the DNC just started today.
Right.
And, you know, the people, the delegates, people are not familiar with these guys, but I am, because I've been to those conventions. I was actually at the DNC in 2012, and Kamala Harris's communist ideas are going to actually have a lot of support at that convention, because I was there in 2012, and I have a video up on YouTube, and I went around talking to the delegates, asking them if they would approve a ban on profits, corporate profits. And so many of these guys said, yeah, that's great, let's ban profits. So you have a bunch of socialists that are in that room. But if you watch this video, you'll laugh. I mean, it's hysterical, but then you'll want to cry. But I actually posted it on X today, because I put that video out, you know, in 2012. It got over 1 million views, but it's worth watching now, because you have to understand who the Democrats are. Yeah. And especially, that's why the team that they've got now, the president, vice president, they are far, far to the left of even the average Democrat. You have no idea radical the people at the convention are. I mean, look at some of the protests. Look at some of the people that are out front. And
that's coming up right after you. We're going there, Peter. We're going to Chicago next after you and talking about all this craziness.
And the media is never going to try to hold Kamala accountable and say, do you repudiate any of this? Do you reject any of this? You know, the way they do with Trump, you get, you know, somebody that a white supremacist happens to be a Trump supporter. And, well, do you disavow this? Do you approve of this? What are all these, you know, communists that are
they're not going to do any of that.
She never has to answer for that.
Nope.
Or all the anti-Semites, you know, in the Democratic Party now.
I know. They won't ask those tough questions. And even if they did, she wouldn't answer them. That's their MO. They've been hiding her for 29 days now, no major press conference. And she just launched this massive economic plan. It's insane. I can't say the phrase I want to say, but let's just say this in a PC manner. This DNC convention will look like a monkey trying to make love to a basketball. That's all I'll say. Put that in your mind. That's it. Peter Schiff, chief economist, as always. We appreciate you, brother. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Yep.